That's like the common theme. These people are all way more hype when they're selling something in an ad. All these people all are hype when they're selling an ad, but they hate their life when they're not. Whereas I just maintain a cool, level head both ways. When I'm making money, I look miserable. When I'm not making money, I look miserable.
Which you prefer?
That's because I'm from New York. I have the Jewish mentality.
California Pizza Hut operators laying off all delivery drivers. But people will still vote for the Democrats in the state of California. The amount of damage done by the Democratic ruling party, which can do anything it wants, it has a supermajority in the California legislature, it is irrelevant. The brainwash has worked. Republicans are bad. No matter how much bad Democrats do, they're good. 2 large Pizza Hut operators in California are laying off all their delivery drivers. Ahead of a new state law, this was right before New Year's, though the new law came into effect last week. 2 large Pizza Hut operators in California are laying off all their delivery drivers ahead of a new state law that raises the minimum wage for fast food workers to $20 an hour. Business Insider reports. This is from station KTLA in Los Angeles. The layoffs impact hundreds of Pizza Hut locations across the state, including Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, Ventura, and San Bernardino counties, and Sacramento, involve more than 1,200 in-house delivery drivers. Yesterday, I did an open forum with Prager Force members. Prager Force is the part of PragerU that involves young people, generally high school through about the age of 25. And they were from all over the world, and I could see them on Zoom. It was a beautiful hour that I spent with them. So one of the questions was, have you ever changed your mind on an issue? It's a very good question. And I gave 2 examples. I could give more. One was that I came to be opposed to big government. I thought of myself as a liberal. I was always anti-left, always, because the left didn't hate evil, and that was enough for me. They were not anti-communist. And the other one I said was the minimum wage. I was for a minimum wage, and then I realized how much harm it did. And here is a perfect example. Because the profit margins for Pizza Hut are not great. And at $20 an hour, the only solution would be to raise the price of the pizza. And that would lower the number of people ordering pizza. The second Pizza Hut franchisee, Southern California Pizza Company, is laying off 841 drivers. My heart breaks for these people.
I just had stuff to do. I had to pick up I got the Irish
what party these people voted for in the last election.
What's this guy talking about?
I wonder if they even know why they're being fired.
Who?
No, my heart does break for these people.
My heart.
See, what you do when you raise the minimum wage is something else. Not only do you put people out of work, but you put businesses out of business, small businesses especially.
What's up, Redline?
And you lower the ability of people. You reduce the ability.
Slave masters. I hate greedy diggers. The real Igro word that hurts is a digger, not the N-word.
U.S. forces in the Middle East about 100 times in October, November, December. And in the last week of December, an explosive drone made it past U.S. defenses at a base in Iraq. 2 Americans were wounded and a third
Dude, you shot me and I was in your basement. Why'd you shoot me with a BB gun? Well, you're in my basement. So sorry that my basement wasn't OSHA certified. But actually, you're not supposed to be there.
Is in critical condition.
Can I put this guy faster?
The National Security Council's Adrienne Watson issued a statement announcing the reprisal and insisted that, quote, the president places no higher priority than the protection of American personnel serving in harm's way. Boy, was that boilerplate, as lawyers say, about pre-existing copy that vetted for feminist ideological purity among cultural anthropologists. It has expanded the notion of human rights beyond any other place on earth. The Judeo-Christian / West.
The heck? Okay. Let's get into it. Bring it back. Let's go.
Western world. It has developed science and medicine beyond anything imaginable anywhere else. As Neil Ferguson, the great historian of Harvard and now at the Hoover Institution, as he wrote, the West is best.
The West is best. Right, it's just so good. So good.
This is what no one can say.
Why do you think
about Jews? Here's a big thing about Jews.
Love it.
How many fucking people that are Jewish have won the Nobel Prize?
It's so
I mean,
high.
it's astonishing.
Yeah, massive amount. Percentage-wise?
Yeah. If you're looking at like a characteristic, like
who's giving out the prize, dude? Who's voting for the new? That's what you never forget.
It's Norway.
It's a good point.
There's no Jews left in Norway.
It's just Jews voting. They're like, you know who's the best? Us again. Wow.
That's the best Jewish place ever.
Oh my God, it's us again. Wow.
That's just Christopher Walken.
It's like
Wow.
You've like combined Woody Allen with like some sitcom star. I'm trying to figure out who it is.
You couldn't help but make it like a little more redneck.
And the Nobel Prize. The Nobel Prize for best guy goes to us again.
It just the whole thing.
That's right. There have been rebellions against the West. There is one right now by the left. So when you look at the staggering success of the West, or the staggering success of many Americans, you have a choice. Either they have better values and the world should adopt them, or they cheated.
Or they have better values for them, and it's not my business. The world doesn't have to adopt stuff I like. I like certain foods. Other people don't have to like them. It's okay.
Yeah, the deck is stacked against everyone else. And they, the whites in America, the West vis-a-vis the non-Western world, they stacked the deck. They didn't earn their success through their values. They got it through oppression and colonization. That's why Israel is so much more successful.
Oh, the whites again.
Morally, culturally, scientifically, economically, than the Arab states around it.
When you speed it up, you realize how seething he is about this. On 2x speed, you kind of just start to see how much he's seething.
That you have the exact same issue. Why did this happen? Clearly, it's because Israel oppressed the Arabs. Not because it has better values. Can't say that. In fact, in order to dismiss the whole values discussion, the left has branded it racist. Are you saying whites are superior in America? That Western, whatever they call Israel, colonizers? What a joke. Israel rebelled against colonizers from Rome to Britain. There was no other state in the history of the world in Palestine, except 2 Jewish states and now the 3rd.
You're so funny.
Kids learn that in college. But Israel is successful. There's a great story.
When you're leaving, dude. When you're leaving.
It summarizes the anti-Western hatred and anti-Semitic hatred without even saying so in the Bible, in the book of Genesis. Isaac, of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob fame, digs wells and becomes a rich man. And the Philistines, how ironic.
Digging wells, interesting.
They come and they see the wealth that Isaac has accumulated thanks to his wells. Then what do?
Ah, yes, the classic wealth-generating wells.
They stuff the wells. They don't ask, how do you dig wells better? They stuff the wells. That's what the Palestinians don't say, how do we make a Singapore out of Gaza? They could have. They go, how do we destroy Israel? How do we stuff the Israeli wells? That's it in a nutshell.
Cut off USA. If you cut off USA, you do that.
And that is why I'm writing my Bible commentary, the Rational Bible.
The Rational
Pretty
Bible.
much everything is in the first 5 books. Everything you need to know about life.
Hi, everybody. There was a record-breaking number of law enforcement officers shot in the line of duty in 2023. Daily Wire reports this. A record number of law enforcement officers shot in the line of duty of the attacks on police. I don't know it either. But everyone, or nearly everyone that I read, it was a black ambushing a policeman.
Why do I care?
Derek Chauvin.
I don't care.
Maybe he wasn't killed. But they never give examples. They just use my line about the left, for which I give an example every single time
Irish,
I mention that. 800-221-7694. 800-221.
Not really relevant to me.
And they have been successful. There are fewer married people than in the history of the United States, percentage-wise. What is it? A quarter of men? I don't remember the numbers, which are remarkable. Who are 40 or older have never been married.
Because you can't get married yet. Because money isn't good. Because unless you're retarded, you're not going to have a stable income. You need to be older to get married. The younger generation isn't given opportunities to work a stable job, so they can't have a stable relationship. Because people like you have a job instead of them. They can't have a job because a bunch of Jewish old people and young Jewish people get all the jobs. And so people can't get married. And they can't have kids.
What are they doing with their lives? That's a lot of men. Hi, everybody. Dennis Prager.
Gooning.
Here.
We're gooning, sir.
I'd like to
Sir, we're gooning.
hear from you. If you have experienced firsthand anyone in your family or even a wider circle of acquaintances who has a son or daughter who has claimed to be trans. I'm trying to get an idea of how ubiquitous this is. And I have no idea. But
Nobody's watching. My stream's dead. No chat. No donos, no chat. What's even going on? Is there anything? Is like, are people just like not paying attention anymore? Have people given up on the world? Oh, it's this dude, huh? He's stealing all my views. I get it. It's over. And then Jimbo's splitting the views with me because he has the crypto, so he has the finance stuff. I have crypto. Sure enough, the perfidious Canadian is taking over. I see how it is. Fair enough. I'm gonna bug him. I'm gonna bug him like this. Watch.
Sting. Excuse.
I followed, and now he's distracted. Now he's psyched out, and now we watch the rest of this.
I know that it is far, far more common today than 10 years ago, let alone 50, which argues overwhelmingly for it being a social phenomenon, not an innate phenomenon.
Nope, it
all of a
doesn't.
sudden we have this.
Because there's endocrine disrupting chemicals. Endocrine disrupting chemicals. I'm going to actually prove this. What are some EDCs? What are some EDCs? Give me some EDCs. Plastics, solvents, lubricants, pesticides, fungicides, and flame retardant additives in manufactured materials and pharmaceutical agents. Tyler Russell is some tough competition. I love your streams. Thank you, Mixon Zoomer. I'm glad you enjoyed them. Flame retardants in electric and electronic applications. PINFAs. And what it is, and this is why so many people who are trans are tech people and autistic, is that computer components have a bunch of stuff on them, a bunch of chemicals that disrupt hormones. Mess with puberty, and they mess with sexuality because it disrupts the hormones. And that's what's really going on. The more people interact with tech, the more they become trans because it messes with your endocrine system. And the really autistic people like to take apart components. They like to take apart computers, build computers, take apart electronics, build electronics. And as a result, they become odd and they become trans. That combined with social isolation and discord causes trans people. It's very, very... Tyler Russell is disappointed you weren't... who is that guy? What is he even talking about? Why is he harassing me?
Young people saying they are the other sex. It can only be explained by chaos in the individual's life and chaos in society's life. I really would like to hear, it may be difficult for you to talk about, but I'd really like to hear from you.
I want to
If
hear
this has touched your family.
any goyim want to talk about their sexually confused son. I need to pick me up. Anyone want to talk about their tranny son?
I know one spectacular human being. He's a very special man. His grandchild is trans. And, you know, he's dealt with it. It has not crushed his life. I mean, 1-8-PRAGER 776-877-243-776. Do you know a trans person? Basically what I'm asking. What happened? Remember, I have a new phrase, lie or die. That is the left's threat to everyone who doesn't lie.
It's about the Holocaust. Lie about the Holocaust or die? We've been living the lie or die Jewish world for a long time, sir. And we're done lying. And we're not going to die either.
About what is going on in society. You have to say men give birth. You have to deny the racial component in violent crime.
You have to say Jews had the Holocaust is real and Jews have never Jews never deserved it. You have to say no Jew ever deserved to be wiped off the face of the earth. Jews have never deserved any sort of racially targeted crimes against them. You have to say that Jews have never deserved racially targeted, completely justified, violent action against them and discrimination against them. You have to say that. That's another one.
You have to deny how rare it is for cops to kill an unarmed black. You have to lie about voter suppression. You had to lie about the Hunter Biden laptop, which 51 ex-heads of intelligence agencies
You have to lie that you didn't look at the pictures of Hunter Biden's penis.
did. They said it was Russian disinformation.
I'm leaving something out here about what you have to lie about.
Lie or die. That's the threat that the left holds over you. I know people who lied about getting vaccinated. They didn't want to get vaccinated. And so they just lied about having gotten vaccinated. Because they would not have been dead biologically. They would have been dead financially. They would have lost their jobs. It's amazing the ability of people to forget how hated the non-vaccinated were. I mean hated. They were called evil. This is, what do they call it? The pandemic of the unvaccinated. Remember that line?
Wow, that sucks. That really sucks more than the kids who are not able to go to school, not able to see their friends. That sucks so much more, having people look down on you. That's like, I've never experienced that before for my beliefs. That was the first time in my life I ever suffered for my beliefs. It wasn't actually about the children that essentially had were isolated from friends in like an important year of like childhood development. It was actually the fact that people didn't like me. That was a really upsetting thing.
I come across so many articles of people dropping dead in their 40s, 30s. Out of nowhere, athletes, people in great physical condition, just dropping dead. I knew a man who was at the peak of his health in his 60s.
He was at the peak of his health in his 60s. He wasn't healthy. He was 60.
He had no conditions and he had a double heart. I don't remember, my wife would remember, but he had a heart attack. And then on the way to the hospital, he had another heart attack, which they had
Turns out the totally young, healthy 90-year-old died.
almost never seen. I spoke to his brother, whom I never met, but I spoke to
The
him.
lockdown made me go insane. That's funny, dude. For me, it just made me stronger. It was like easy. For me, the lockdown, it was like the winter season for sociality and like stress and pressure. Because for me, I love that. I was made stronger and I enjoyed it because I'm tough. It's like the winter. I love the winter because everyone else is miserable and I love it. I guess we're just built different, you and me. We're not so alike. We aren't.
And we're both convinced it was because he was vaccinated. This, of course, is called misinformation. It doesn't matter how much information we have on the myocarditis deaths, for example. It doesn't matter. It's called misinformation.
It was so awesome, though. It really was, because it was very easy for me. And it was very funny, also. And I laughed. I laughed so hard at people suffering. I said, I'm so glad this happened.
Misinformation is anything that the New York Times doesn't want to report. That's what
The
misinformation is.
online school Zoomers are effed. No, I don't really think it's the online school Zoomers. It's more the people who would be socializing with kind of like losers, but their parents are freaking out, and the kids who essentially got like traumatized by their parents being pussies. If that makes sense. Like their parents like cause it, because when you're a kid, you trust your parents. And most parents are kind of dumb. But it's not a huge deal because you trust them even though they're doing dumb stuff. It's not like they're terrorizing you. But with this, it's like so many kids got terrorized by their own parents. And I don't mean like teenagers. I mean primary school, grade school people. Basically traumatized and emotionally abused by their parents who are like freaking out about wearing a mask and telling them the world's going to end and yelling at each other about whatever. That's like a much bigger deal than anything else, because that's actually traumatic, because when you're a kid, you trust your parents and your parents say, oh, everyone's going to die. That's like child abuse. oh, if a bunch of people are going to die from the vaccine, or we can't see grandpa because he's not vaccinated and he's going to die. That sort of stuff is actual trauma that, kids went through, and not being able to see their friends. The online school stuff probably will be a benefit, honestly. Because what do kids actually learn in school? I don't think there's any high school student who's dumber now from not going to school than, if they had gone to school. I think they're probably smarter from not going to school. Even if they just played Minecraft and watched YouTube videos and TikTok. I don't think there's any high school students that probably suffered and missed out on anything valuable, to be honest. Now, primary school kids, young kids who really trust their parents and don't know any better, who got traumatized, they suck. Their life sucked for that. They don't suck, but their experience sucked. But high school kids, if anything, it benefited them not to go to school. Did you say that working in tech makes people trans? Yeah, I think there's chemicals in the electronic components, and people who are autistic who like to take stuff apart and like to put it back together and build computers and handle electronics and hold computer items and mess around with computer stuff like wires and cables all the time. I think a decent percentage of them are probably getting exposed to stuff that disrupts the endocrine system. And then that messes with hormones, and that messes with their sexuality. It's like the frogs being turned gay from the stuff in the water. It's like that, but for humans. Because it's not as complete, but it is similar, where it's like messing with the puberty, before or during puberty, kids' hormonal system. Now, it's obviously not as complete as a frog, but it's similar. I just got back. What did I miss? During lockdown, my parents made me do jump squats and dumbbell twists, not that lived hard school stuff. Yeah. The lockdowns were kind of cozy. Not like I'm going anywhere in January anyway. The lockdown changed me entirely. Aren't you like from Ghana? You're a Ghanan. I don't think people in Ghana had the lockdown. The craziest thing about the lockdown, though, was all the areas in Africa where they didn't have a lockdown, nothing happened. There is no like evidence of any sort of increase in deaths at all. It's completely absent. There was like absolutely no difference. There was no benefit. They didn't have excess deaths from anything. It's like, wait a second, these people didn't get any vaccines. But very odd stuff that the people who didn't get vaccinated, there's absolutely no evidence of them dying at all.
It's not actually misinformation. Dallas, Texas, and Don, hello.
Hey, Dennis, there we go. So I told your call screener, she's really my half-sister from my dad, and all three of her daughters eventually...
Pakistan didn't have too many deaths either. Yeah, it was just from Indians killing them. That was Indians attacking them.
And this was actually several years ago, so her oldest one would be probably in her 30s now. And the last I heard from her, she did some transitioning stuff, and she just now is like one of the most depressed and suicidal people that you'd want to meet. And I would also like to bring up, too, like several months ago, I got into a chat.
What's wrong with this man? Look at his face.
I want to call it an argument with a colleague he was in England, and his son came out as a woman, and we got into a bit of an argument over the pronoun thing, and it led to that, and he ended up calling me transphobic and a few other things. And I told him about my niece. I said, look, dude, I have physical experience with family members who have gone through this, and now that they're older, they are suicidal, they're depressed.
Honestly, if you have that sort of situation, you just should hit on the people. They're kids. Like, oh, she's sexy. These guys should be like, oh yeah, my son's trans. He's a woman now. Instead of freaking out, I'd be like, oh, can I see some pics? Is she sexy? And then I'll really freak them out. Ooh, any sexy hot pics in a bikini? And that'll really start to make them think twice about what's going on here.
It's just a horrible thing. So
may I ask you, so you're telling me, all three daughters of the same mother?
Yes. In different variations, though. I mean, I don't really follow them anymore, but this was several years ago, and they all kind of took off in some very strange directions.
So how do you know how depressed the older one is?
Because my sister told me probably about 6 months ago when I was talking to her about it.
Is this your sister's children?
Yes.
Did they grow up with a father?
Yes, they did. Yeah. Well, but that's a whole other. That'd take hours to get into all that. Anyway,
well, don't take hours. In 1 minute, what's the issue with the father?
Well, he's now dead, but he was very, he was liberal in a lot of ways, and I think he was more pacifistic about stuff than anything. Plus, he was also an alcoholic.
And all three daughters say they're male?
Well, the one who suffers from serious depression, from what I understand, she's the one that took a new name and took on malehood.
He's calling cap. I call cap on your story, sir. Get off the line, Shroll. I call cap on you. Get off the line.
Two daughters are, it's just really hard to describe. I think they kind of got into the whole Japanese pansexual kind of culture.
Yeah, they get into that whole Japanese pansexual culture. They're weeaboos.
Wow. And you have no contact with them?
I have not in a long time.
He's like, we got to drop another bomb on these people.
Why?
Reaching out, but they live their lives and I live my life, and we're in different places.
What does your sister think?
Well, I haven't talked to her in quite a while, and I don't know what kind of contact she has with her daughters, but she's also struggled with drug and alcoholism for years, and she's actually on her right foot now, so she's doing well in 12-step programs and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, now that you bring this up, see, now it's inside me, and I'm going to want to think about calling her at least and talking to her about, how her life is.
Well, something good came out of the call. Wow.
What's food?
It is very hard for me to imagine.
Food, body bag. Is that food?
More than half of people who transition are happy. It's hard for me to imagine half are.
Who cares? They're just meant to be ill.
It's a question, and I have absolutely no answer to. Is there a voice in them that says you're living a lie?
There's a Jewish voice. The answer is say, yeah, you're not a woman. Sorry. Sorry, you're not a woman. You will never be a woman. Here's a rope and a stool. Get to it. No, don't do that. What you say to them is you appeal to their sexism. You say, did you know that 50% of trans people commit suicide? And then you ask them, do you know any female, biological, real females who ever committed suicide? And they'll say no. It's like, exactly. It's not a real thing. Even if you become trans, you'll never become a woman because trans people are capable of killing themselves. So obviously they're not real women.
You're really not what you portray yourself as. How is it possible not to think that in some ways? I am a boy, and now I am a girl.
The brain trust really is working hard here.
Do I really think I'm a girl?
It's a sexual fetish. It's not that complicated.
One of the reasons that they want to shut down all therapy that enables you to identify with the sex you are is that there should be no voices in the life of a trans that say it's much better to identify with your sex than to create a gender identity. Back in a moment.
You're so retarded.
So what I'm asking you to do is dial pound 250, say Dennis Prager. That's all you have to do. Learn about the plans. Pound 250 on your current
It's like pranking somebody.
phone, and then say Dennis Prager. If you switch using my name, you get an additional 50% off your first month. All right, let's see what else we have here. Laura in Mission Viejo, California. Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I have a son.
Can you talk directly into the phone if you would? It's a little hard to hear you.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep this over. I'm so sorry. I am wondering that I have a son.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to put you on hold because
It's funny how they're doing the trans stuff because they don't want to talk about the tunnels.
I don't want you to hang up, but I can't. You're not coming through clear. So I really want to hear what you have to say. Colleen in Tucson, Arizona. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I just found out that my husband's grandson has decided to transition.
How old is he?
He's in his late 20s, and I haven't actually seen him in almost 6 years.
You mean her?
Since their grandfather died. No.
Wait. Their grandfather was your husband?
Yes.
Okay, so you're a widow.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm sorry about that, by the way. So you have not been in touch with this grandchild who is now in his late 20s. How do you know that he's trans?
I saw it on Instagram.
Now, when you knew him, were there any signs of a troubled soul?
No. He was into furries, if you know anything about that.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
He always talks about animals. That's sus. That's actually really sus. Why does he know about furries? Because he always makes animal analogies. Very odd. Why does he know about furries? That's actually sus for an old man to know about this stuff. Very strange. Very, very odd.
Yeah, and I, at the time, did not know everything about it.
Well, why don't you give my audience a 30-second explanation?
It's a sexual fetish thing, from my understanding.
Oh, I didn't know that. I guess I don't know much about it. So, do you know anything else about it?
About furries?
Yeah.
I had no
Not
idea.
much, no.
I guess I got it all wrong. I thought they sort of identified with furried animals. I don't know why I thought that.
Yeah.
And they wear costumes of it. Okay, anyway, go on. So, yes, whatever the definition.
Dude, that's such a guilty way to pretend you don't know too. That's 100% he's into that stuff. He's pretending you don't know, and it's very clear. There's autistic people who dress up, and it's a sexual thing for most of them. I'm sure there's a few that aren't. It's a very clear sexual thing. The fact that he's pretending he knows what it is, but he doesn't know it's sexual, means he's into that stuff. What is Dennis's fursuit? I think it's probably like a bear or something.
Exemplifies a troubled soul. I mean,
yes.
So the answer is yes. Did he grow up with two parents?
Mostly, yes. They were married for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Divorced. He has a brother and a sister. But I have MS, and so I can't get around as much. So it's hard for people sometimes to stay in contact with me. And I actually haven't seen any of the family, his family since he died.
Would you have liked to?
I would have.
That's sad.
Why are there airstrikes in Yemen? What's going on here? Apparently there's British. Ansar Allah has threatened to burn the entire region if the West attacks. American warplanes airborne above Saudi Arabia en route to Yemen apparently prepared for combat sorties. Islamic resistance in Iraq has threatened to escalate attacks on American military bases in Iraq and Syria if Yemen is attacked. Joe Biden to deliver a speech shortly after airstrikes against Yemen commence. PM Rishi Sunak has ordered airstrikes on Yemen. A military source within Ansar Allah stated the following: if foreign forces consider attacking Yemen, our forces will open the gates of hell for Western forces in the Red Sea and the region. And if a fire is lit in the region, Washington and London will not be able to extinguish it. Dude. This year is crazy. This year is actually insane. Pentagon calls out Iran for hijacking an oil tanker.
The Islamic Republic of Iran Navy unlawfully seized the Marshall Islands flagged oil.
Is this just always happening? I'm not paying attention.
While the vessel was transiting the international waterways of the Gulf of Oman. As we understand it, this oil tanker was en route to Turkey when the Islamic Republic of Iran Navy forces boarded and seized control of the vessel. They subsequently forced the tanker to change course toward Iranian territorial waters in the state.
It is so funny how the Houthis are essentially the sheriffs of the water thing for shipping.
I think it's.
But I haven't had any problems with Amazon packages, so I don't really care. Houthis, do what you need to do, as long as this doesn't get me in trouble to say. It doesn't really affect me. How does it affect me? I'm kind of libertarian in this respect. All my Amazon packages have gotten here. Now, if my Amazon packages don't get here in time, then I'm going to start getting mad. But until then, I don't really care.
Largely because you have MS?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. If you had a bond, I don't know why MS would have severed it.
Only because I can't travel.
I know, but you can talk on the phone. I mean, it's...
No. I don't know.
Yeah, well, anyway, look, I thank you for calling.
Ooh, he's negging her.
Let's try Mission Viejo again and see if Laura has a phone issue.
He got spooked by about the furry stuff.
Resolved. Hello.
Hi, thank you, Dennis.
You did it. Yes, well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to tell you, I have a son who's about 21, is trans, and he's basically cut me out of his life since he was about 10 years old. And his father is a very kind person, but very passive, and so kind of let it happen. And when I saw my son before all this was happening, we would have a good time, and then he would realize it and withdraw from me even more, so I haven't seen him or spoken to him in years. He
sounds like you're annoying. Sounds like you've annoyed him to become trans.
Told me I'm trans, I'm gay, I'm a socialist, I'm not a Christian, all things you hate, I don't want to be tolerated, and that's the last thing he said to me by text.
Troll god. Epic troll god.
Well, so he cut you out at 10?
That's when it started, him cutting me out, being unhappy. He threatened to kill himself, so you have to take it seriously. So I let him live with his dad, which I greatly regret. But we were, when I got divorced, I didn't do very well on my own, and, he didn't have to, it was rough. But I had no idea this was going on until he went to college, which is apparently when his father found out, and no one told me. I actually figured it out for myself, and then I confronted my children about it.
All his fans are boomers who have trans kids, yeah. Yeah, my grandkid is trans. My son is trans. Yeah, it's the fruit of the retarded tree, retarded fruit.
Told me the truth.
How many other children do you have?
I have 2 other children, to my knowledge, are normal, and they still talk to me and visit me. They're college and high school.
Do they have contact with the trans child? Or...
Yeah, pretty much everybody does. Yeah, it's a boy preferring to live as a woman. Everyone has contact.
It's a boy. My son, otherwise known as it. True mother work.
Contact with him, which I'm very happy about. He's not alone in the world, but, he's not in touch with me.
What I don't understand is what started at 10. This is not clear to me.
I think my children threw puberty early, and that's one of the things that happened with him. And he was also angry about the divorce, which has been going on for we had a slow divorce for a couple of years.
Yeah, I was looking at my son. He was caked up, dude. His butt was fully developed, and his penis was large when he was 10. Believe me, my kids hit puberty early.
And I don't really know. He's never spoken to me about it. He will never sit down and talk to me.
Well, what do your other children say? They must speak to him.
They come from, it's a mixed racial family. It's from a culture where you don't talk about a lot of things openly. It's always harmonious.
Dude, it's so funny. It's like a mulatto, light skin. Dennis Prager's fans. Coal burners.
So if they know anything, they don't want to
coal burners with trans kids.
About it. They don't want to. So, like I said, I honestly.
So it's interesting. He said to you he's gay.
Yes, I don't know what that means.
Yes. So hold on. Yes, I mean, don't hold on. I mean, thank you for calling. I will react to that statement when we come back. Relief Factor has a new.
So goodbye. I'll talk about your gay son soon. First, I have a commercial.
Product called Sleep, which you should try if you have sleeping about it. That's right. That's right. Go to relieffactor.com or call 800.
See how much happier he is selling trash to you than talking about stuff, whatever the show is?
500-8384. Order a bottle. It's drug-free, so it's safe. And read about it at relieffactor.com. The product's name is Sleep. So this woman, I think that's right? About the son who is trans and is gay. Oh, yeah, who announced I'm gay and I'm trans. So you will find this of great interest, my dear listeners. Wall Street Journal, December 14th, less than a month ago. Most transgender kids turn out to be gay. And it's written by a gay. And at least it's true for the boys. This is a practicing endocrinologist.
Most porn addicts turn out to be porn addicts.
Just in Montreal, a senior fellow at the group No Harm So listen to this.
They turn out to be gay and autistic freaks. That's what it is. They're just gay and autistic, and they're encouraged to be retarded. Instead of being racist, they become gay. You have two chances. You have two choices: a gay man, become trans, or become a groper.
These patients, research shows that some 80% of children with gender dysphoria eventually come to terms with their sex without surgical or pharmaceutical intervention. So for those people pushing, oh, you must accept and affirm their transition at their early age, please know that you can help them, because 80% of the time, if this is accurate, they actually don't try.
You pick both. Bruh, dude is like, how about both?
They give that up. Multiple studies have found that most kids who are confused or distressed about their sex end up realizing, ready? They're gay. I believe I understand this. Nearly 2/3.
Ooh, good. He caught himself. I believe I understand furries. I understand. I mean, I believe I might understand furries.
Are boys. So most are gay. Most trans are gay. And nearly 2/3 of them are boys. Now, why is that? Why does that make sense?
Because it's a porn thing, and they watch so much porn, they want sexual arousal all the time, and eventually they become trans. And they're autistic, and they're isolated, and they want sexual attention, and they can't get sexual attention because they're autistic. So they begin to cross-dress for the sexual attention by, becoming a tranny, and then they become a tranny, and then they're a tranny.
A gay boy or man wants a man. So two issues are at work here. One is, I can seduce men by...
Explain to me gay seduction, Dennis Prager, please.
By being a woman. The problem with that is, you're seducing heterosexual men. And they...
Sounds like somebody got honey trapped. I've never been tricked by a trans person. I just don't really run into... I've never ran into... Well, actually, at the Waffle House, I did see a tranny. But as far as I know, I've never seen a trans person. Now, how are you getting seduced by a tranny, dude?
They are not grateful. When you seduce them, you successfully seduce them, you're in a hotel room or in your apartment or home.
Oddly, he knows so much about this. Very strange, honestly.
And they discover that you have what they have. That is a very distressing thing for most heterosexual men.
How does he know this? And honestly, if that happened to me, I would just chuckle. I was like, yeah, whatever. It wouldn't go further. But I wouldn't even be in that situation. If I'd be like, that's funny. All right, get out of here, dude. Bro, get out of here. But that's funny. I wouldn't be upset. I'd just be like, who cares? This is good job. You tricked me. All right, now get out of here. You are not going to... I'll take a video of it. You are not going to believe what just happened to me.
The other reason, aside from seducing men, is that there is...
What is he talking about? He's talking about traps. He's talking about people being tricked into not being sexually aroused by a tranny without knowing it's a tranny. So he's talking about his porn use.
Percentage of gays, I think it's
you wouldn't
less...
kill them? No, not unless they were trying to like rape me. It's like a dumb thing. It's like, who cares? Oh, you tricked me. We didn't do anything. You tricked me. What's wrong with you, dude? You messed up. Goodbye. And then I honestly, it would be funny. Like, it was like, as long as nothing happened, it's just a funny joke. It's like stupid because it's a trick. Obviously, it's not like they told you and then you did something and then you're mad at them. It's like you don't know, then you know. It's like nothing happened, so who cares? How long until he gets caught at some gay New York orgy? They're never getting caught. God will catch them because they don't get punished for anything. We saw this with the Jew tunnels. They don't get punished by humans. They get punished by God. They will get punished eventually, just consequences. But at the moment, nothing's happening. What if they trick you into having sex with them? They didn't. If they trick you into having sex with them, they didn't trick you into having sex with them. You're lying. If you accidentally have sex with a tranny, you didn't. Guess what? You didn't accidentally have sex with a tranny. This isn't really a real thing. Sorry. It's just, you sound like a woman who like regrets having sex and saying she was raped. That's the equivalent. It's like, oh, I got tricked into having sex with a tranny. No, you did not. You have sex. You had sex with a tranny. You didn't get tricked. What if they tricked you into giving? Yeah,
less than half.
This is
I'm sure it's less than half. Who are extremely effeminate to the point of being a female or thinking they're a female. He writes, gay kids often don't conform to traditional sex roles, but gender ideology holds that feminine boys and masculine girls may be born in the wrong body. In this light, gender-affirming care looks a lot like conversion therapy. In the
yeah, you got tricked into furry stuff with with the big bastard. What's his name? Prager. Dennis Prager tricked me into becoming a furry. I had no idea.
It took the form of electroshock therapy, chemical castration, and even lobotomy. Now it takes the form of rendering teenagers sterile and sexually dysfunctional for life. Clinicians from the main UK transgender service referred to prescribing puberty blockers as transing the gay away, a play on the description of old-fashioned conversion therapy as praying the gay away. A clinician who resigned from the UK service accused it of institutional homophobia. Clinicians at the service had a dark joke that, quote, there would be no gay people left at the rate GIDS, Gender Identity Service, was going.
What is it to rape kids? We said at the rate.
Well, it's a very interesting thing that the last call opened up when the boy said, I'm gay and I'm trans. It's a way to truly get rid of masculine identity. See, if you are an effeminate gay, most are not, but if you are an effeminate gay, then trans is the perfect mode of expression.
That's very odd that he keeps these weird qualifiers. If you're an effeminate gay, most are not. Why would you say that? How would you even know that? Like, I'm pretty open-minded of, like, I'm like a bigot, but most gay people are, like, fags. They're mostly, like, very effeminate. You know, you almost always know when somebody's gay. Obviously, there's exceptions. But why does he keep making these weird, like, inside... Most are not actually effeminate. Very strange.
We return. You might thank me, actually, if you try Relief Factor and it works. Most people it does.
Yeah, I'm not going to thank you.
Get rid of a and you will be to be a phenomenon. 4 little pills in a packet.
Completely exception. Yeah, I am. I still don't know what's going on there. I'm still not really even sure. I'm actually genuinely confused, but I don't really think about it. I honestly don't think about that outside of it being brought up. That whole situation, I still don't get the problem, like what it is. I'm still not sure. It's so odd to me because it doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's just a disjointed thing. Probably like a serial killer type of thing. That's probably what it is. I'm not really sure what it is. It's probably like a Buffalo Bill type deal.
Free. Try it for 3 weeks. If it
where
doesn't
it's
work,
not really like the trans stuff is probably incidental to the being whatever.
3 weeks. It probably won't work for you. That's what the manufacturer says, and therefore, cancel your order. But why wouldn't you try?
You can sell Steve Franson. No, Steve Franson is like the same type of person. He's just a slightly higher IQ version.
For $20, $19.95 specifically for 3 weeks. Go to relieffactor.com or call 800-500-8384. If you're lucky, Sean may pick up. You'd have
from the Weekly Sweat.
Be very lucky, and I thought you're complete a trans person in their life. Okay, and
get back to the trans situation.
I would have an issue with that. I would have an issue with that. I thought you're completely devoted to Salem Radio. And okay, let's see who has had a trans person in their life.
Bro, dude, I'm gonna remove. You're gonna be the first one I ever remove modship from in my kick chat. Not because it's totally irrelevant, but I can't stand to have my mod being you. You're too gay, and you're too gay for being a mod.
Good. Joel in Livermore, California, who differs with me, and I'm glad you called. Thank you.
Yeah, hey, Dennis. Thanks for taking my call.
Right.
The thing I wanted to say was that I feel like you really take a picture like this is a nurture issue rather than make.
Dude, is that true? South Africa, TikTok, Israel? Are these people alive again? Or are they done?
Everything caught.
Are they still alive or not?
The money. Wow. He will be on with Jade and I tonight, along with Rachel Cruz and Dr. John Deloney on Thursday night, the 11th. And I will be on at 7 o'clock.
Joel Davis. What about Joel Davis? Apparently they're showing TikToks.
Thank you, General. So today, the International Court of Justice
heard South
Africa's genocide case against Israel over Gaza's war, and there were many details of incidents that amount to genocide or acts of genocide, according to the case.
Oh, Prager said his name. I guess we'll go back to that in a
weapons were used. Is the Pentagon concerned about any implications from or potential implications from this case?
Yeah, thanks, Fadi. So I don't have any comment to provide in terms of South Africa and its particular actions as it relates to the International Criminal Court. We've been very clear from the beginning of this conflict.
Are those real medals, or is this an African general situation? Because I feel kind of suspicious that it's all, and that he has that many medals. What did he do? Did Did he kill Osama bin Laden or something? Because I kind of am suspicious that he has a whole chest of medals. It makes me think that we're in a American military is kind of in a banana republic situation.
That we do care about innocence.
Because how is that even possible? Why do you? Wait, I don't even think I could do that, and I'm like a top operator. How is that possible to have a bunch of round medals and then a bunch of random ribbons? It seems odd that all the ribbons all stack up nicely too. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times 3, 21 different ribbons, 3 different medals, whatever the stars are. That's his rank. So I'm supposed to believe he had that many cool things he did. Seems kind of fake to me. It's a costume. That's all they had in the wardrobe today. Okay.
Lives, both Israeli and Palestinian, and that we will continue to consult with our Israeli partners and urge them to take all necessary measures to protect civilians, also taking into account humanitarian assistance.
Yeah, bad answer.
And again,
bad answer.
Madam President, members of the court, there is an urgent need for provisional...
That's not even a real name. Irish people need to chill out. Bliney Negrali. Okay. I like how Irish people have the fake wig. It's so funny.
Measures to protect Palestinians in Gaza from the irreparable prejudice caused by Israel's violations.
This is a 30-minute speech? Please. Honestly, it's pretty embarrassing for the whole world we have to have this trial at all.
Of the Genocide Convention. The United States to care for the wounded, infirm, and...
I'm not listening to all that. I'm not listening to all that. Let's get back to this retard.
Nature. And take a picture like this is a nurture issue rather than nature. And take a picture like this is I wanted to say was, hey, Dennis, let's take my...
I'm glad you called. Thank you. Joel Anderson in their life. And good. Joel in Livermore, California, who differs with me, and I'm glad you called. Thank you.
Yeah, hey, Dennis, let's take my call.
Right.
The thing I wanted to say was, I feel like you really take a picture like this is a nurture issue rather than nature. And
yeah, but not nurture by parents, nurture by society.
See, that's where I disagree.
Okay.
I do think that is correct with, well, I'll tell you, my child growing up had friends that knew that my child was transgender or gay at the time. And the friends would come out and say, I'm gay. Well,
all these people are losers. Oh, it's so funny. All the people want to call in and ask him advice. Everybody who sees him as a superior has a trans kid.
Really weren't great gay. So yeah, that would be like a peer pressure, societal change that's really short-lived. But there are people that are transgender because they are born feeling that they're in another body. And
do you think your son is one of them?
100%.
You mean my daughter?
He's known it since he was a small, I want to say nearly 5 years old.
Right. So let me ask you something. How do you know if you're a man or you're a boy? We'll talk about boys and girls. If you're a boy, how do you know what it means to be a girl or vice versa? I understand that one could be uncomfortable with what one is. And the fact that he's gay supports my view and my opinion, but we'll put that aside just for the moment. I do want to address it. But you don't have a clue as a man what it means to be a woman. It is not possible for you to know, even if you identify. If a man or a boy is gay, he wants boys. One of the ways to get boys is...
How does he know so much?
Is to feminize. Most gay couples, and I know quite a few, one is more feminine. And it doesn't mean he's not a wonderful man and fully 100% male, but one is more feminine than the other. This is played out in real life. So where you
I
and
know a lot of them
differ, and it's fine if we do. And I shouldn't. I don't know. Should I say my heart goes out to you? How should I react on a human level to you?
I mean, no apology. You don't need to apologize. There's nothing wrong. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with my kid. I love my child to death. I'm here to support my child. So the only thing that worried me at the beginning was how is society going to treat this person?
Well, I assume you refer to this child as your daughter, correct?
No, it's my son. She transitioned to him.
Oh, I don't know why I assumed otherwise.
Yeah, never mind. I don't care then. It's not really relevant to me. I'm not that interested anymore. Sorry, sir. To be honest, I'm not really interested in continuing this conversation and talking about hypotheticals where I meet your child.
All right. So excellent. If I met him, you refer to him as him, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. If I met him, would I have any doubt that I had met a man?
So he's on testosterone right now, so you would probably think it's a man.
How old is he?
15.
Oh, I see.
Because wasn't there is it Sonny Bono? That was like a first case, like public thing. Because there's always like Michelle Obama, Taylor Swift. There's a lot of trans people that are like low key, Ammon Ruth. A lot of trans people that are secret. But isn't it Sonny Bono, the woman who took trans stuff? And then isn't there Buck Angel? His Buck Angel we saw is looks like a man. So does Sonny Bono. Sonny Bono kind of looks more like a lesbian, but Buck Angel definitely looks like a guy. If you start really young, I think you probably would look like a man. I think it messes with you. I think you get really serious health problems. Or Chaz Bono, right? Yeah. Everyone is A-Long England, but he's totally right with the soul witching. What is that? I don't know what that is.
And was it 10 when she came out and said this to you?
So roughly fifth grade was when he came out, or when at the time she came out. And of course, this was a humongous decision. So me and at the time, the mom, we had long discussions about it with the ramifications of what, it's going to do.
Were you ever tempted to say, darling, I hear your discomfort, but please understand.
No, he never thought about it. He never thought about it.
Yeah, go on.
At the beginning, 100%. You want to discourage it as much as possible because you know what it's going to do. You know how hard life is. You know what people in school are like. So it is. I mean, the biggest fear as a parent is your child's safety.
That's clear. Of course, I understand that. I'm a parent. So your now son would like to date which sex?
Women.
Right. So 20 years ago, I think this would not have happened because you're right. We differ, I think, in society because we virtually had none of this in American history or even Western history. It was more common among indigenous people for people to identify as the opposite sex. But that's a separate issue. So your daughter, originally daughter, would have probably become a lesbian. And so what we have today is a lesbian who is masculinized. That's how I read it. It is not an insult. It is not.
So is that a problem? If not, why is trans a problem? If gay is not a problem, why is trans a problem? And if trans is a problem, why is gay not a problem?
Put down, that is how I understand it, given the number of gays disproportionately in the trans movement. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely. And we agree that.
Yeah, well, you're a good man. I only wish you happiness. Thank you. Hi, everybody. The Serious App.
You're a great man. You're a great American patriot.
Or here, if you have a trans person in your life. I could do this for days, obviously. Cleveland and Mary, hello.
Hi, Dennis. Thanks for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 16-year-old daughter who has been thinking she's a boy for about 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
We discovered this when she was in 6th grade through journals and things like that. And I really believe that the majority of girls who think that they are boys are doing it to fit in their peer group or are uncomfortable in their body.
All these people are so funny. Such losers, dude.
Let me ask you about number one. What peer group are we talking about?
Well, the peer group among girls to fit in with other girls.
So she will fit in with other girls if she transitions to being a boy?
Yes, there's it's a way of kind of fitting in, and the girls who think they're boys, it's a way to be popular.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think it's popularity rather than fitting in, although obviously they're related. That's fair.
Apparently we're starting a war. We're blowing up people in Yemen. Is that what's happening? So that's a thing, I guess. So that's a thing.
Yeah, just like being in sports, it's just a way to...
So has anyone in her life, and this is not at all accusatorial, I promise you, it's a curiosity question. Has anyone said to her, you are a girl, that is how nature made you, or sometimes people will say God, but usually it's not a religious child who's doing this. I mean, was there any pushback in her life?
Oh, yes. I mean, we've had her to several different counselors. In fact, we're on our 3rd counselor.
Right, but aren't the counselors told to affirm their transition?
Well, the ones that were secular were, but we were very fortunate to find a Christian.
What you do is you say, nah, not really. Also, you never get to the situation in the first place. But eventually you say, yeah, you're not that, and we're not talking to you. You continue to say you're that. Sorry, you can't really live here. Goodbye. Never speak to me again. Goodbye. And then you move on, and you kill yourself for being a bad parent.
Counselor. It took us several months, but we are finally having some success. She's 16 now, and we just uncovered recently that it was a way of fitting in. She was uncomfortable in her body, but it was a way for the girls to gain acceptance and feel good about themselves.
Who is she attracted to, boys or girls?
Oh, she's attracted to boys now.
Okay, isn't that fascinating? Yeah, but boys won't really want her. Boys want
big boobs. Boys want big boobs, big butt. Boys want high heels. Boys want big boobs, big butt.
Girls, or at least heterosexual boys do. Oh my God. I have a remarkable man on the video and audio right now. His day job, so to speak, has been associate professor of medicine at Brown University. He's an epidemiologist of all things. I admit not a group that I have instant respect for, but I do for him.
I don't care what you respect. You're a loser. You're a retarded loser. I don't care.
Islam and the Jews. I don't know how he has been able to do the work he has done. If he were a full-time academic, it would be an achievement, but he's a full-time epidemiologist. And now a book of surpassing scholarship and understanding, The Legacy of Islamic Anti-Semitism by Andrew Bostom, B-O-S-T-O-M, Boston with an M, M.D. there's a foreword by Ibn Waraq. Ibn Waraq, I read much of his work, is a Muslim, or was a Muslim, and now writes under a pseudonym because he doesn't want to get killed.
Yeah, he's a real one. He's definitely a real one. He's under a pseudonym. Real Muslim, by the way. You can't ever find him because he doesn't want to get killed, but it's definitely a real person.
Andrew Busnam, it's a true honor. You're an exceptional man, scholar, gutsy guy. Before we go on to your work...
That's Dr. Phil.
How did you react to my comment that when I hear someone's an epidemiologist, it does not foster instant respect?
I 100% agree with you. We were talking briefly off air, Dennis, and I retired a little early because of what I saw.
Nah, I figured I'm going to make money off these Jews.
Happening in the field of epidemiology. And actually, I'm trained perspective than someone who's a PhD epidemiologist. What I saw taking place in response to the pandemic about litigation against...
All this stuff is so fake. Maybe I'm just a really genius. It might be that I'm a genius and I'm a autodidact, like sapiosexual genius. But stuff like epidemiology, statistics, whatever, all that stuff is retarded and it's not real, and you don't have to go to college for it. It's just like stupid, retarded stuff. There's very few degrees that are needed, and it's like STEM. Besides that, or like science, like actual science, like being a doctor or something. But this stuff is not hard. It's like retard stuff. It's like first year college for economics, retard stuff. Like, what are you learning? Epidemiology. Oh, there's like, here's a model. Here's a graph for viral things. You can look at the exponential rate of growth and the drop off, and that's not, and like 3 different variables for like the range of infection, the rate of transmission, whatever. It's just stupid. It's not a real thing. It's retarded. This stuff is all retarded. And it's not real. It's like statistics, but fake. All my professors at college are losers. All my professors at college are losers, right? Most of them. I'm sure some of them are real, and they're just like autistic people. Like, I wouldn't mind being a professor. Because that's kind of what I am. In like Hitler world, I wouldn't mind being an underpaid professor who's just dawdling around and I have a little cottage. But most professors are not that. Most professors are losers. But I'm sure there are some good professors, but generally speaking, unless you're like a really autistic person who's really passionate about whatever, you're probably a loser.
Against mask mandates, against vaccine mandates, but the vilification and the mindless attacks, I retired a little bit early, so I'm no longer actively. I do some independent research.
One more question about that, and then obviously getting into the topic, and that is, I told you what I associate epidemiologists with. I associate Brown with being woke before the term was invented. Is that accurate?
It's very accurate. It's very accurate. So I retired by the summer of 2021. My wife is still a full-time academic there in the medical school. Very hardworking clinician and a teacher. People function there by keeping their nose to wokeness. Not so.
You're kidding.
No, I mean they're actually reinstituting mask mandates now.
Wokeness is such a good excuse. It's like the incel excuse for women, even though the incels are right. It's like, I'm a loser. I got fired. I don't want to work. Wokeness. The woke left has gone crazy and I can't do my job. The hardest job in the world, being a professor.
You're kidding. You're kidding.
No, reinstituting mask mandates now.
You're kidding. You're kidding.
No, so my wife has said no. She said no. She's a full professor. She will not.
Of medicine. Of medicine.
Yes. She will not wear a mask in her individual interactions with patients. And she asks the patient, however, do you have any objection to me not wearing a mask? She said 100% of them say they have no objection. Moreover, once she says that, they say, Dr. Robinson Boston, can I please take off my mask? And she says, of course, absolutely. And that's the way she deals with it.
One of my doctors, needless to say, I won't even say at what academic institution, but it is an academic institution hospital. And when I show up for my twice-a-year checkup, the joy that I bring him, because he knows the instant he walks into the room, he can take his mask off.
I'm sure if I was a doctor who had to like feel you up, I'd be really full of joy. Then I'd be like, dang, I'm so happy I get to touch his balls, give him a full checkup, grab to check if he has testicular cancer. Can't wait to do that. I'm sure he's really happy. He's like, yeah, I can't wait to see Dennis Prager naked. I'm really, really excited for today.
So he spends an inordinate amount of time with me.
But seriously, Dennis, she's making that policy now.
Imagine being the lucky doctor who gets to see Dennis Prager naked for a physical exam.
In terms of her own residence, she'll tell them, read the Cochrane Review.
I reported that avidly on my show. That is the gold standard. That is the meta study. It's a study of all the studies.
And it's iterative. It's iterative, Dennis. In other words, Tom Jefferson, who's been doing masking analyses, has been doing them over the past 20 years. Every version, so covering the flu era and then moving into COVID.
It's kind of sus, honestly, doctors who have to like see people naked. You know what sus is? The complete lack of donations. That's really sus. So what are we gonna do about that? What are we gonna do about that? Because that's not good.
Every version has come to the same conclusion. It doesn't work. It didn't work for flu. It doesn't work for COVID. It doesn't work. Period.
Well, the guideline for me was Sweden.
Yes.
I had some place to say.
It's so odd. I guess it's kind of like fishing. Streaming is a lot like poker. Actually, that's not even a lie. Streaming is a lot like poker. It's easier than poker. Poker's harder than streaming because poker is a lot more disciplined. Because if you mess up, you can lose money. Whereas with streaming, if you mess up, you just don't make money. Whereas poker, you can like destroy your stack, and that's something I'm not good at, so I can't play poker professionally. Whereas streaming is a lot more forgiving, but it's similar in that it's kind of like a game of patience and just playing hands until you get a big fish, whether in poker or in streaming, and then you make the money.
Say to my listeners, don't trust me, trust another country.
Exactly. I wish they could handle their Islamization as well as they handle.
Although I can handle drinking while playing poker a lot better than I can handle drinking while streaming.
You know what? I didn't know how you would do it. How do we get a segue from Sweden and masks to your book, or your whole life?
Bar, guys.
So, all right. So here's
Don't
the
you
book,
want to see my hairline?
DennisPrager.com.
Before it's gone.
It's an incredible work. The legacy of Islamic anti-Semitism, from sacred texts to solemn history. So, this is huge. This topic, and people listening will be lucky to have heard you. Let's begin at the beginning. What was Muhammad's attitude towards Jews?
So Muhammad's initial attitude was that they would recognize him as their prophet, and that they would take kindly to him, follow.
So he was Muhammad actually was just mad because the Jews didn't like him. That's why.
Him, etc. For him is awarded to all kinds of chicanery and then serious stuff, attempting to assassinate him, etc. And sabotage him. And he felt compelled to conquer and subdue them and bring them under nascent Islamic law. So it's a very, very contentious relationship. And then we see a lot of melding together of in terms of the anti-Semitism of themes that are interwoven with the Quran itself, with the traditions of Muhammad. And so in one iconic,
my small town had a homosexual physician my whole youth. Well, at least you got good, thorough checkups.
Scene, if you can envision it that way. Muhammad is besieging the Jewish tribe Banu Qurayza.
Hey, at least you got good, thorough checkups. Look on the bright side.
He's allegedly saying outside, their fortress, he's deriding them as brothers of apes and pigs. And this is a Quranic epithet. It's in the 5th surah chapter of the Quran, the 60th verse. And ultimately, of course, the siege is successful. They surrender.
I've not done it in 6 months.
Muhammad himself beheads somewhere between 600 and 900 of the post-pubescent males.
You don't have to.
And then the rest are enslaved.
You do, actually.
And this becomes the prototype for.
I can't wait that long. I can't wait that long. You think that's acceptable?
Any resistance to his authority is dealt with in terms of the Jews. Eventually, it winds
I
up
need
with
$7,000 donated now by each 3 of you watching.
Farming oasis, where there's no hostility towards Muhammad. These are Jewish farmers, and they are attacking what is believed.
Are you saying he molested you? No, if anything, Klansman Groper molested him.
To be, again, according to the Muslim narrative, one of the first truly aggressive jihad campaigns, and it's violent. They're subdued, and they become the first dhimmi, Dennis. Those that are willing to surrender are allowed to function as vassals under Islamic law and contribute a poll tax or some sort of remuneration from their farming. But they give up all their autonomy. They're de-weaponized, and again, this becomes incorporated into Islamic law. So the best that Jews can hope for under Islamic law is
status.
The funniest story from that type of stuff growing up was one of my friends realizing that a guy who had been convicted of showing his penis to kids, so a local flasher, just a kind of mentally retarded person, had flashed him, and he had repressed the memory, and this guy came in and flashed him, and then me and my friend just laughing at him for telling us when we were kids, just finding it hilarious that he'd been flashed by a retarded person, like a would-be molester, but it was too retarded, and the guy was upset, and we were all just laugh. The rest of the night we just laughed at the guy for being flashed as a kid by a retarded predator.
Yeah. Dhimmi, folks, is D-H-I-M-M-I. Christians are also dhimmi. Those are the only groups allowed to even be dhimmi. The others were generally offered the sword or conversion. The book is.
You think it was an emotional moment for him, or I started laughing because it wasn't stupid. Who cares? It's just a retarded kid being retarded.
Legacy of Islamic anti-Semitism. It is up at DennisPrager.com. We continue. Hillsdale holds many of the answers to the tragedy of American education. I would like you to be familiar with the work that they do. Just go to PragerForHillsdale.com. This is not an appeal for funds. It's an appeal for awareness. Know what they're doing.
Wait, did you kick this guy off the show? Get him back on.
It's called Constitution Minute. And I will feature the Prager for Hillsdale. My guest is MD and professor of endocrinology. His wife is still teaching there in the medical.
Yeah, thank you.
Manchurian Opium Fuda Squad sent $10.
The other thing with
the
things that I did not really talk about was that we got into a little bit surrogate activities.
I probably hate dinks. He probably hates dinks like I do.
You're gone.
I'm probably in agreement with him about.
You're gone not that long from now. You and I have a very short life. if you do philosophy, it goes at the right speed. But
I'm
just
probably
zooming
actually in
out of
agreement
it,
with
it's like
him,
very
to be
short
honest.
life. It's lots of cohorts of people that have risen and fallen in just a short amount of time. It's a frenzy. It's a frenzy of activity when you really think about it. And you want to leave your mark. And the way you make your mark is on your children. These dinks, no one's going to remember them. When they're gone, they'll have no legacy.
That doesn't matter. Okay, I disagree
They'll
with
amount to nothing.
That doesn't.
Your kids.
This isn't.
Will know you better than anyone's ever known you. And they will remember you.
I don't care about being remembered.
They'll remember
This
what you
is-
did.
I'll give my version.
What you said.
This is misplaced.
And if you do a good job of it, they will transmit your values. If your values check out,
I disagree, but
if
it's
your
better.
values universalize,
His wrong view is better.
they'll
than
carry on those
the big
values,
stuff.
and they will build on your life's efforts. Not because of some personal thing, but because
Make
you're
a mark
plugging
in your
into
children. That's
universals.
not creepy. Make a mark in your children.
Your children will heal you.
You guys are just being creepy
because
about pretending.
if specifically you
this
peacefully
is
parent,
gay or retarded.
your
But it's
children
not
will heal
creepy.
you because
This is just a broken person. This isn't.
they won't respond quite the same way as you respond to things. And they do have their beginner's mind. They're experiencing things for the first time. And their raw empiricism and their raw instinct is quite the sight to behold. And it reminds you of who you were.
Sight is
and allows you
spelled
to
with
re-experience old feelings.
not TE.
And that is the germination of healing. That's the starting point.
Oh, he's just copying Molyneux. Walking in the woods, mogging him. But anyway, the real reason things sucked is it's not healthy. It's not good. Now, if you can't have, and Hitler agrees with me, if you can't have kids, that's totally fine. And especially with the vaccine stuff, there's going to be a lot of that. So we have to be more understanding of people who get married young and don't have kids because they can't. But it's not healthy not to have kids. It causes problems especially for women. And for the men too, because the men start getting annoyed because they're like, why are you even around here, dude? You're just annoying me. That's the deal. But it's it's not the end of the world. It's like a defect for both of them, right? And it's not just a woman's defect, because if it's a defect in the woman and the man didn't detect it, it's not a defect. It's really just unfortunate. If they do everything right and they can't have kids. Because if it was a defect on the woman, then it obviously would be a defect on the man because of the man who married them. So you could say that. I guess you could say a defect of both. Or just a flaw. Or an imperfection that because we're in a fallen world or whatever. Dink stuff sucks because it makes it into a positive. It's like a weird coping thing. Where instead of being like, yeah, this kind of sucks and it's not really nice, it's pretending that it's nice, and it's gross because it's like, no, it's actually not nice, and I don't want to be reminded of it. It's kind of gross. I don't want to hear about this. This is not nice, and it's shameful. It's shameful to pretend. It's not shameful to be unable to, even if you try and you do everything right, and you can't have kids. It's not shameful. That's just like a limitation. Some people can't. And at that point, you don't have to adopt, or you could adopt if it's like really important to you. That's not the end of the world to adopt in that situation, because there are some kids who need to be adopted. It's very rare, but some kids are good who are adopted. Most adopted kids are demonic. That's why they're put up for adoption. But, the fruit of the evil seed, that's just true. That's why they're put up for adoption, because they're devils. They're like demonic children straight from hell. And that's why they're put up for adoption. But there are a few angels in there, and that's fine, and sometimes it works out. Usually, though, they're like evil, like demons who are going to kill you in your sleep. So don't adopt. But if you do and it works out, good for you. The dink stuff is stupid. Children don't heal you. Children are fun. I would say children don't heal you. They just prevent. Life is not that complicated. A better way to put it is, once you reach a certain age, like 13 or 14, you're now an adult and you don't really learn anything else for the rest of your life. And in order to stop from being bored and stop from being kind of like, what's going on here? Like, what am I even doing? You're gaining more power and more knowledge and more wealth as you get older. And if that's directed in a bad direction because you have no healthy way to spend it, a large portion of people who are not having kids are going to spend it in bad ways that enable bad habits, which further mess up stuff for the next generation. Whereas if you have kids, now you're spending money on the kids. you are now invested in the future because you have kids and you want to make sure the future they get is healthy. It's not about your legacy. It's not about whether they remember you or not. It's you actually now are incentivized to make sure that your future or the future of your kids is better than it could be. So now your money starts going towards continuing life and continuing health and continuing and like promoting health and decency and unity and like order, because you want your kids to have a good life, because you know that order is good and decency is good. My cousin is a dink. Should I cut him off? You should defoo him. It's just that's like the main reason. It gives you a reason to live when you're older. Now, there are reasons to live that are fulfilling and could be even more fulfilling than having kids for some people. Some people are never going to find a reason, but it's harder to get there. So for most people, it's very good to have kids, both men and female. And it's not great not to. There are some people who can overcome that, but a lot of people are miserable. It's probably, I'd say, if you don't have kids, it's more likely that you're going to, maybe like 70-30 for some people, that you're going to be miserable when you're old if you don't have kids. Because it speaks to probably, not always, but an internal deficit or a defect. And also, even if you don't have a defect and you just don't have kids and you like treat everything right and you just can't have kids, either you as a guy or you as a girl or whatever, it's going to cause problems and it's going to be hard to overcome no matter what. But it doesn't mean it can't be overcome. And if you do overcome it, good for you. But it's just, no matter who you are, it's like there's like a 70% chance for most people, unless you're like whatever, like special, unless you're special. And you're like some autistic savant who's, working on making the trains run on time all day, you're going to be probably having to contend with the fact that you don't have kids to take care of and to dote on and that sort of stuff. And there are ways to overcome that, but that's why it's important. It's not because of any legacy. Who cares about your legacy? I do. The only reason I want to have kids is so they can like be even more cruel. Because I was kind of handicapped because I was not raised with I wasn't given wealth and opportunity and power. So I'm trying to collect a lot of wealth and opportunity and power so I can pass it down to my kids so they can be like dictators.